Hello everyone, welcome back to Durbanites FPL Game Week 31 review, Game Week 32 preview. 7 game weeks left before the end of the season, including possibility of 3 doubles and a blank game week, so it's all happening now. Let's dive in and start at the table as usual. Things are spacing out a little bit now, but you can still see some close battles happening. 5th and 6th place there, mother and son battling it out, just 8 points, and then the cousins underneath in 7th and 8th as well. Very, very close, but a great game week along the doubles can definitely change the look of this table as well. Up at the top, it's a dead heat in game week 31. 35 points apiece means that the gap still stays at 23 points with a few big game weeks to come. So let's dive in and see how that will work. The player selections currently 11 out of 12 managers still preferring Mo Salah. Alexander Isak now 9 out of 12 managers preferring him, even though he didn't score last week, but he does have a double coming up this week. Chris Wood and Miller's Kirkers dropping now. Chris Wood has been injured the last 2 game weeks, definitely coming up blanks, and Nottingham Forest don't have the same push without him. Milos Kirkers and Bournemouth having a tough run of some really good fixtures, and now tough fixtures are coming their way, so managers looking to cut their losses there. Differentiators this week, Evan Nilsson still putting in the goals, has been fantastic since his return from injury. 1 manager scoring on him this week. Martin Flecken doing really well at the back, 10 points for him this week. 2 managers able to capitalize on that. Now looking at the hits and misses, just 1 big hit here, so Zach's making a play, pulling away from 4th spot, trying to get closer to 2nd with that stonewall effort. 20 plus points bolstered by Martin Flecken and Munoz. No big misses for anyone in particular this week, but misses all along for the captaincy. So most of the captains blanking this week. Mo Salah, Alexander Isak really giving trouble to the managers below. Now looking at the best possible selection for our team, Flecken gets the number 1 armband and Sanchez gets the place on the bench for keepers. Back 4 there of Guardiola, Munoz, Byrne and Mazraoui, really good selection there. Then Minte making it onto the field with Bowen and Rogers. No place for Mo Salah on this team this week. Brian Mbuemo and Bruno Fernandes, both of them getting the bench even though they are so highly priced. And then up front, Mateta, Evan Nilsson and Strand Larsen. Evan Nilsson picking up the captain's armband, and Eddie Howe pipping Pereira this week to become the assistant manager for the week. And that gives us a team with 112 points with the bench boost 128. Not definitely, let's say, lighting up the Fantasy Premier League this week. It has been one of the overall lowest average scores across the entire Fantasy Premier League, guys, so don't feel bad if you didn't score this week. But a really affordable team at 88.6 if you want to consider them. Now, looking at the fixture rating coming up, guys, we are 1 week away from not having to scroll on this anymore. Arsenal have some good game weeks coming up, so 3 games in the next 2 game weeks, 2 games against Ipswich and Crystal Palace, as well as Brentford, all should be winnable. Chance to look at this team as well with Saka coming back. Aston Villa also good game week here against Southampton coming up this week, and then in game week 33 a big double against Newcastle and City. Brighton as well have a few favorable games coming up. Michel Pedro's back, Welbeck's back, a chance for them to maybe claw their way up the table. Chelsea not in the best of form, but definitely favorable fixtures coming their way, and Liverpool looking to close out the season while Arsenal is still distracted by the Champions League. 2 wins here will go a long way towards doing that. Nottingham Forest again really struggling without Chris Wood, and Awuni is also picked up a knock. They have some favorable fixtures, but not sure whether I would back them at this moment in time. Spurs have a good one against Wolves this week. They did have good let's say good games last week as well. A chance for them to actually try something here. Maybe look at Brennan Johnson there. Newcastle also looking to solidify their place in Europe here. They have Manchester United and Crystal Palace this week as a double. Then Villa, Ipswich, Brighton, Chelsea and Arsenal. Again, because of the double, we are recommending them. Same for Crystal Palace, guys. Back-to-back double. So 4 games in 2 game weeks. Again, not the easiest game. Manchester City, Newcastle, Bournemouth and Arsenal is a very tough lineup for them. However, Mateta's in fantastic form, Munoz as well, Eze, Sa, these are all players that can get points along the way and have a chance to double that as they go through. So definitely look at that triple Crystal Palace investment through these game weeks. It is a risk, but it is a risk that could also give you high rewards. While you're doing that, don't forget to plan for that big blank in game week 34, where teams that are involved in the FA Cup will be missing out. So you might have to really look at using the free hit if you have it. And then there's possibility of game week 36 also being a double, based on the fact that a lot of English teams have moved forward in European competitions and potentially could move even further into the semi-finals, and that could bring up another double game week somewhere in game week probably 36 as well. Now, what that means is you're really playing a risk here, because Arsenal is definitely playing the double in game week 33, but they are also playing Real Madrid, which means who will they rotate? Who will they rest? Will Saka get minutes? We're not entirely sure. The same with Aston Villa, tough game against PSG, so they need to come up. When they're playing that against Southampton, who will they rest in that? Possible Morgan Rogers might be rested. It's possible Asensio and Rashford might get a run. It's all up for grabs to see who will be playing in that game week 33. And then the same can be said for Newcastle as well. Playing in that double game week, they've done some tough games. Then you got Crystal Palace going to blank because it's the FA Cup. Tough game weeks ahead. So looking at that, let's look at teams that we definitely want to avoid in the next few weeks. Brentford are coming in for an incredibly tough run as well. Possibly looking at draws along the way, but could also eke out some points for players. Everton definitely have a tough ask coming up of them and haven't really been flying. Same for Bournemouth as well. They've not been firing on the easier games, and now they have some tough fixtures coming up against them. Team that are picking up form as well. Fulham has been going off the boil as well as Leicester. Leicester really fighting to keep themselves in the Premier League, but with Liverpool coming up in a couple of weeks, it's possibly all going to be over. And then the question is, what do they have to play for? Let's look at the players up for selection here. So on the back line, you've got Alisson that's out for Liverpool. Just explaining the key here, guys. If you see an asterisk next to a player's name, it means that they are doubling in this game week 32. If you see two asterisks next to their name, it means that they are doubling in game week 33, which is the next one. And if you see three next to their name, it means that they are doubling in 32 and 33 and probably play for Crystal Palace. So Ray is definitely an option. Looking at that double game week coming up, so is Martinez. Kevin Kelleher coming in for Alisson. He's been playing for Liverpool. Not the most surest of keepers, but good fixtures coming up for him. And then you've got Matt Sells here for Nottingham Forest. From the defensive side, a lot of key players missing. Trent Alexander-Arnold still out, so is Gabriel, so is Ola Aina. Lisandro Martinez from Manchester United. Guehi picking up a red card, so he's suspended. Lewis Hall out for Newcastle, and John Stones out for Manchester City. But you do have the option of putting in Saliba and or Timber, who have doubles in the next two game weeks. Then you've got, of course, Kerkes, who still has a goal threat for Bournemouth. Pedro Porro, who scored in the European fixture this midweek. Lucas Digne for Aston Villa, who might survive the rotation as well. Then Kukurea, Estupinen, and Bradley, options for use who's scoring right backs. Then you've got Milenkovic as well for Nottingham Forest, should you back them. Definitely Munoz is a must-have, I would say, going into the next two game weeks. An option to get really good points out of him. And then Livramento from Newcastle, based on his performance last week as well, would for me pop out. Dan Burn, if you have him in your lineup. Looking at the midfield, is quite a few injuries still, so Rodri is definitely not going to see any action this season. McNeil is still doubtful for Everton. Harry Wilson's making his way back for Fulham, but still doubtful. Ahmad's not back yet. Gordon's out for Newcastle, or not out, but doubtful. Kluivert, same. Elanga, the speedster, also for Notts Forest, in doubt. Saka's picked up a knock, as has the race hero from the Real Madrid game, Declan Rice, definitely picked up a knock, so he might be doubtful and rested for that next European encounter. Now, looking at the picks, Salah is back this week, so definitely one to pick for Liverpool. Elanga, if he's going to get minutes, is definitely one to look at, or Gibbs White if you're looking for a safer bet. Saka, Merino, definitely for the doubles coming up in the next couple of game weeks, but be aware of rotation. Same for Aston Villa, Rogers, Asensio and Rashford. It is very possible that Rogers might be rotated out. He's been doing really well, but they do need him for that important clash against PSG. You're looking at maybe Asensio, Rashford as a better option. Definitely Anthony Gordon, again, might get limited minutes because of him being in doubt. Jacob Murphy, Did really well with the brace last week, possibly in good form now, looking at Newcastle's double this week, and might get more minutes than Anthony Gordon. Then you're looking at Brennan Johnson from Spurs with his brace last week, Enzo from Chelsea, Eze for Crystal Palace, or Ismail Assar. Eze slightly better on the overall statistics, but the games coming up might definitely favor Sa. Both of them have doubles coming up in the next 2 game weeks. Then you've got Jakub Minte and Karl Medoma as options for Brighton, if that's the way you want to go. Now, looking at the forwards, Havertz still out and Gabby Jesus still out, adding to Arsenal's woes, although 3 goals in midweek didn't hamper them at all. Then you got Chris Wood's-Drew, doubtful for Nottingham Forest, according to the manager. He is still not 100% ready to go, and Erling Haaland is out for probably what might be the rest of the season. Alexander Isak has got a double coming up this week. Will he be able to score? Will he be rested? Will he get all the minutes? It's very, very tough to say, but definitely an option for a captain this week. So Ollie Watkins coming in for the double next week. Again, rotation might play an issue with this one. They might try and save him for those European fixtures. Evan Nilsson is there, definitely in good form. Cunha's back finally. After all the suspensions, he's back, but also not in very favourable circumstances. But that does mean if you have Strand Larsen, you might start looking at substituting him. And then you've got Jean-Philippe Mateta also, the double coming up for him, and he has been able to score even against tense on tough opposition. So definitely a pick from my side. Then you've got Gakpo coming in back for Liverpool, João Pedro, and Welbeck the double there on Brighton. Again, Brighton has some favourable fixtures. They haven't been doing too badly. If you prefer Herzl and his boys, then that's the way to go. Then looking at the assistant managers, definitely Olivier Glasner is right up on top with that double. You've got a chance to play your assistant manager. If you don't have a free hit, then a chance to play your assistant manager. Probably would have been better to have it in last week already. But if you want to play it now. Olivier Glasner, 2 weeks, 4 games, and then make the substitution in game week 34 to bring in an additional assistant manager, because Glasner will blank. Same for Unai Emery, a chance for you to get a double on him with next week, but will blank in game week 34. And same for Eddie Howe, will also have a blank coming up, so a chance for you to double up on him this week should you want to. And then Arne Slot again chasing that Premier League title. Looks like it's an opportunity to get some solid points in the next 2 weeks, but entirely up to you, not making any more recommendations on other managers based on performance. So if you still have chips available, now is the time to use that wildcard, guys. A chance for you to set up a team for game week 32 and 33's doubles. A chance for you to use again your bench boost in game week 33 and pick up double points for all of those players, or at least most of them, maybe 12 players in your lineup that can double up. That would be a big difference to your score. If you have that free hit, game week 34 is the place to play it now. And then after that, look at where you can play your triple captain, possibly in a double game week in 36 or somewhere along the line. So that's the options that you have left now. Just 7 game weeks, as you can see. It's all coming down to the wire. So with that, that's all we have for this week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment as well. Let us know what kind of strategies you're trying to employ. You can even drop it after the deadline so that nobody copies you. But really interesting to see how you're going to manufacture your team for the next game weeks coming up. Possibility of 3 double game weeks, including this one, and a blank in the last 7 game weeks. It is probably going to be the most frenetic end to a fantasy Premier League season. Good luck with that. Until next time.